Hi everyone, welcome to this Monday.com tutorial. Monday is a collaboration platform which is hosted in the cloud and it's used to manage tasks and projects, providing accountability and transparency across the organization. Invited to Monday via an email, you've clicked on the link and you've ended up on the main welcome page. And like me, as with anything new, you probably felt a bit overwhelmed. So I'm going to walk you through the basics and hopefully have you up and running in no time. The landing page layout is essentially divided into 4 panes. On the far left you have the navigation pane, followed by the folders pane, the main board pane, which is where you'll probably do most of your work, and then the additional informations pane that pops up every time you select an item within the board. There are 4 ways in which to receive notifications: via your inbox, bell notifications, your email and mobile phone. The inbox is where you'll see most of your updates from all your other boards, and here you can interact with the messages directly from the inbox, such as reply to them and like them. You can also use filters to drill down to specific tasks where you've been mentioned or tagged. The bell notification is just a little bit more in-depth notification system. My Week gives you a great overview of your deadlines and your tasks for the current week, as well as those in the pipeline. Invite members. Here you can invite guests or members. The difference is that a guest only has access to the boards that you share with them. Search everything. As the name suggests, you can search for anything and everything. You can use filters to narrow your search criteria. On the second pane you'll find 2 main sections, the workspace and dashboard section. You will mostly work within the workspace section. To stay organized, the first thing that you should do is create a folder structure. I create folder structures based on the functions within the organization. Within the folders, you create your boards. There are 3 different types of boards: main boards, shareable boards, and private boards. Main boards are visible to anyone who is a team member. Shareable boards are used when you want to share a board with people outside of your team or company. And private boards can only be seen by you and specific users that you've invited to that specific board. So just remember that you cannot invite guests onto a private board. To create a new folder, click on the plus icon next to the main workspace field, choose new folder and name it. You can also rename a folder by hovering the cursor over the folder that was created until the ellipse icon appears, and select rename folder from the menu. Here you can also delete the folder. A few things to remember about folders is that you cannot delete a folder that contains a board, and folders are only viewable to anyone who has access to the boards within them. A new board can be created in one of 2 ways. Firstly, by clicking on the plus icon next to the main workspace field, or by hovering the cursor over a folder until the ellipse icon appears and then click Create Board in Folder. You can choose to create a board from scratch or use one of Monday's templates. I'm going to show you how to create a new board using the blank board option. Once a board has been created, you can rename the board at the top by clicking over in the little box. The general layout of a board is based on groups, columns, and rows known as pulses. You can expand and contract the groups by clicking on these little arrows. Rename a group by clicking within the box and renaming it. You can change the attributes of a group by clicking on the colored drop-down arrows. Here you can change the color, delete the group, duplicate this group. You can also move a group around if you want to reorder things a bit by clicking on it, dragging and releasing. To create a new group, you can also click on the New Item button at the top. When deleting anything, you have 10 seconds to undo it. To add a new column, scroll to the far right until you see a little plus icon, click on that, and the frequently used columns will be displayed. You're also able to search for specific columns here. To change a column name, just hover your cursor over the name field until the little box appears around it. You can click inside and just start typing. If you want to reorder the columns, you can do so by hovering your cursor over it until you see a 4-directional arrow appear. Click, hold and drag to drop it into place. To delete a column, click on the drop down arrow in the header and select delete. Lastly, we have the rows that are also called pulses, and these contain specific tasks. To add a task, click on the bottom row and name it. If you want to rename it, just hover over it until the pencil appears. To reorder tasks, click, hold and drag, release it into place. You can also create a conversation in the pop-up pane by clicking on this little conversation bubble. Here you can add files and people to the conversation. 3 columns that are worth mentioning are the date columns, person columns and status columns. The person columns are used to assign people or persons to a specific task, and the status columns are very important. They affect the progress dates and timelines within a board depending on what status is chosen to represent done. They use colored labels that are like sticky notes, and you can edit these labels. Well, that's it for this tutorial. Thanks for listening, and I hope you found this tutorial helpful.